Welcome to Take on Knowing, where we believe knowledge is limited, whereas knowing is limitless. Our mission is a collective journey to uncover the truth in all things and uncover the divine that operates among us, as us. It's time to share our understanding and further raise the human collective consciousness during this time of planetary ascension and the lifting of the veils of illusion, so we may learn to thrive once again as fully awakened sovereign beings of infinite light and power, rooted in love, our true essence and the frequential composition of our divine light. My honored guest today is known by the name Rick JEWERS, though in this case, a rose by any other name would not be as sweet. To us who are blessed to know him or of him, know that there is far more to the man than meets the eye. Not only is Rick one of the founding fathers of the global people's monetary system and divine law, along with his co-founding partner Lee Mudway, who I have been fortunate to interview several times in the past. If you haven't seen those videos, I encourage you to check them out, as they are an intense journey into human design philosophy and understanding, but I digress. The man known as Rick JEWERS, who we will shortly meet for the first time on Take on Knowing, I have to say, has not only captured my attention, but my heart, mind, and soul with his beingness and the wisdom he brings forward and shares with us all. Wisdom that comes directly from Source, Father, as he usually refers to it, and sometimes Mother when citing the Divine Feminine. Today's interview will focus on Rick, the man, his history, and the slow revealing over the past 3 years or so of his true identity, which I will ask him to speak to shortly. We will also focus somewhat on the global people's monetary system and divine law, or GPMS for short, and try to provide a clear understanding of what it is and what it stands for. An understanding that anyone can grasp, especially those new to GPMS and its revolutionary and divinely inspired concepts and goals. We will also explore the man behind GPMS, the representatives of GPMS, and what happens behind the scenes of that organization that will astound you, especially if you are new to the ideas of just how powerful humanity and each and every one of us is. Prepare to be astonished, dear viewers, as astonished as I have been over the past 2 years or so to learn, even on a surface level, about doing activations, the true power of crystals, the matrix we live in, and much more, including some upcoming dates when we can expect to experience huge shifts upon our planet. Without any more ado, please welcome the man we know as Rick JEWERS to Take on Knowing. Rick, what a joy and honor it is to have this opportunity to speak with you here.
Well, thank you. And likewise, Renata, you know, the one thing that Father has given in the beginning is for to gather all together. What is occurring on the planet is not to be done by one, it's to be done by all of us. And with that, the ego must go. The ego separates, and we all come together as one to get this done. Thank you so much, Renata, and I'm so happy to be here and to share whatever I may with all of the audience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rick. All right, so let's get to it. I have wanted to dive into this with you for so long now, and I think we both feel that that time has divinely arrived. I recently heard George Cavassalos, a very impressive esoteric speaker hailing from down under, Australia, that is, not that other down under, explain to his video audience that there was never a one that actually roamed the earth place as Jesus, that individual was a collective representation of several entities whose mission it was to bring forward and establish the Christ consciousness and grid and understanding on earth. He also spoke about that one having several identities presented to humanity, both in the form of an ET and also a manifestation of the collective's desire to believe in such an entity as Jesus, as is promoted by the various churches' philosophies. Given that possibility, I know that you have publicly stated that you are the Son of God and a Melchizedek, and have quite a track record that would leave the greatest of skeptics doubting their disbelief. That said, my first direct question to you, dear brother, is, are you the Son of God, or are you a Son of God? And what was the direct experience or experiences that led you to believe this yourself? Over to you, brother.
Well, that's a beautiful, and I could write a book if I wished to recount all of that. But to keep it as simple, I am more than what Jesus was, if you will. And one of the reasonings for that is that we must remember that Jesus ascended. And once Jesus ascended, he was no longer the Jesus that everyone knew. He was much more divine in the least. So having said this, through millennium, through time, through faiths and beliefs, yes, there has always been more or less a figure that is connected with God, and to show the ways. And more importantly, in this great time, it is for that convergence with a monotheistic belief for to take everyone forward. So we don't need to delve on the past so much. We bring ourselves to the now and understand that, for example, what was written long ago were only steps and guidelines to bring us to where we're at now, meaning that upon the planet there can be many Jesuses, many Marys, many Buddhas, many representations of that one supreme being, Mother, Father, God, if you will. So, having said that, this most glorious time has been written. It has been imprinted in most all belief systems upon the planet in one variation or another. But the different perspectives doesn't matter. It all converges and leads to the one God. And this is where we're at now, bringing all of these beliefs upon the planet and orienting and coordinating them as one together to take things forward. So if you look at, let's say, the Bible and other written text in relation to theology and the esoteric and all of the divine supernatural, we can look at that as being perhaps, if you compare it to a school, that was grade primary or kindergarten. Now we're advancing into the next level of gnosis that has been unprecedented, what we are entering now, because it is the time. We are in the uncharted waters of what was within the human logic and concept of what reality was before. And the mysteries of life, if you will, were mysteries as such to contain an older primitive existence. So, what we are now doing is advancing the human experience with the entire Gaia, the planet Earth, whatever you wish. We're taking it forward into a civilized state out of this present savagery of suffering and inflicted misery, if you will. It no longer serves, so we're advancing forward.
Yes, so somebody's agreeing with you. So I've heard you speak to some of the direct experiences you've had when you first came to be contacted, if I can use that word, by Father. and how that unfolded. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Well, with that, and this is the funny thing, unbeknownst to the operating consciousness of Rick here, up until the age of 47 years old with this physical vessel, uh, this is the joke between I and Father Prime Creator, that I was so brilliantly disguised that I did not even know who I was. And this is one of the jokes with it. So I was playing the humanoid role, always thinking and knowing that I was different, and looking at, some things that played out that were supernatural and magical, but not really knowing what it was that it was connected to, until that most gracious day when I was then let knowing my full identity and given it back, if you will, by Father when it was restored. So, on that great day, just being a transitioning from a human into my divine capacity, if you will, in a secluded forest in Nova Scotia, 50, perhaps a 50-kilometer or 50-mile radius away from any civilization or any cell towers or any phones, no electronics, right? Um, and that's important. I needed to state that. Because what had occurred, it was time for my ascension in this reality. So just prior to that, I was in what ones could call the dark night of the soul, the dissension into, and what the dissension involved was being learned, unbeknownst to me then, into the deep confines of the evil upon the planet, and how Earth actually worked and was controlled by the evil. So it needed to be done this way, that I thought I was only human, because if I had known that I was divine, I never would have went into those depths, because of energy dictates reality. And where I'm divine, I no longer can go into hell, if you will, to get the goods and to get all the information. So I had to do that from a humanoid form, with the consciousness not knowing who I was. So I was able to go in there and get all of the evil truth, if you will. And this was pertinent to my mission. I had to be informed in the human landscape of what was transpiring here, so that we could evolve uh, everything forward in alignment with the ascension. And it has been written that Christ would come back, gather the people, and take them forward. And that is what's occurring. And, there's many different perspectives and perceptions on how this would be. But nevertheless, it is occurring. What I need to say, it is occurring now. And ones need to simply realize this. There was a lot of upon humanity, a lot of control, a lot of manipulation, and especially with the consciousness and the ability to see. However, in this great time, what we are seeing, against all odds, because it's not organic, it is preordained divinely that many would awaken during this great time. And we call this the awakening, which it is, at knowing the truth, and knowing exactly what was occurring on the planet. But again, this information has been preceded and delivered by God, not only in religious texts, in Hopi prophecies, if you will, in indigenous prophecies. It's all been imprinted and seeded here that this time would come. and we are now in it, and this is truth. Yes, there's manipulation, has been manipulation in many written things of the past, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that we are really in this time, and that the truths that were there, even though they might have been manipulated, it doesn't matter, because these truths are the value which is taking us fully forward. And with this awakening, each one's discernment, their ability to judge what is moral, what is right, and what is not, has been heightened, and they're able to see as the veil is lifted from their consciousness and from their eyes. So, what I need to say, this is all pre-orchestrated divinely. It's predetermined by the omnipotency of God, and it is happening.
Wow. Well, thank God that it is. So on that day, in the forest, 50 kilometers outside of any other form of civilization, it was revealed to you what was occurring on the planet. It was also revealed to you, and your divinity was restored, as you say. Was that the same time that you were asked to create GPMS? If you want to go into that a little bit more, because I just know, I can just feel everybody really wanting to know more about that part.
Well, let me say, there was a little bit of disorientation with the quick transitioning from a human into full divine in the blink of an eye. So with that, there was also other divine information that are required. And what occurred following that first knowing who I was again, it was about 6 months, if you will, of extensive being tutored and learned into even more of the mechanics of this world and the control system. Because what had to occur, it had to be downloaded into the consciousness, the mechanisms and tactics of the darkness, if you will, to comprise the complete concrete overpowering plan as well. So I needed to be briefed and informed on what was actually occurring through the planet, on the planet, for this great time. And that was done through my direct communication with Father Prime Creator. Perhaps about a month after my introduction to Father Prime Creator, then I'm introduced to Mother in the love aspect. And, for the remainder of the 5 months of being trained divinely in this reality and all the information in the consciousness coming in this reality, because this is actually how things work. I was tutored by what you would call, or is known as, Archangel Michael of the Light as well. And these things I share with all that they are very real, and the miraculous divine impossibilities that I have experienced, which a lot of it not allowed yet to be recorded, but they are very real. And it goes with the full conviction of divinely knowing who I am and what I'm here to do. So if that answered what you were asking. As you can see, the story is so vast, and there can be many books just written on one question alone, if you will.
Absolutely, and I believe that there are going to be many books.
I don't think that they're not needed, really. I don't think there will be many books because they're not needed, because we're taking humanity into a sudden shift in evolution and consciousness, where many of these things from the old will not even have a place in one's memory as well. And this is the beautiful thing. And it cannot. If imprints from the old negative experiences, if they still exist in the future as conscious co-creators, they would contaminate the future to be the same thing. So they're all let go of here during the purification and the knowledge of what we truly are, how to connect the heart and consciousness as one operating navigational unit to take us to the reality where we really belong, that there's only love and harmony and good emotions, no negative emotions. They don't serve. They are density that separates one from their true power. So, having said this, the consciousness is being readjusted worldwide to accommodate the shift as well. And one thing that is prevalent, if you're to ask the awakened community, there are a lot of things of their past humanoid life that they're beginning to forget. It doesn't even come to their mind anymore because we are transitioning where the new reality will not contain old negative memories of the past. You will see, for example, that yes, you have memories from the past, but they'll be good highlighted memories, not negative, traumatic memories and things with stress, because we are actually co-creators and we are not going to be contaminating the new reality with stress.
Exactly. Uh, Thank you for that. So, what I'm to gather then, I'm going back to the root of all of this transpiring once again. So, you were given a directive that you are now going to shepherd humanity into a new reality, into a new timeline, into a new outcome, into a new way of being. At the same time, GPMS was born, and you were asked to shepherd us through GPMS. Am I getting that right?
Somewhat. It needs to be realized that I'm a powerful creator in this realm. I'm connected directly to Father. And so, having said this, I am divinely allowed certain abilities. And one of my abilities is to orchestrate events that lead to the overall ascension. So, with this, we are dealing with linear time here on Earth. For us, there is no time, but on Earth, there is linear time that we're able to proportionate and speed up and also slow down at times when necessary. However, when you look at this overall ascension, and we look at perhaps 12, 14 years now more predominantly in it, because we exist for all time, this is less, 12 or 14 years is less than a blink of an eye. It's a millisecond or even, a billion second in what we are. So having said this, yes, it's in linear time, it's taking a while, but that is nothing for us. But having said this, the reason I have said this is there has to be series of events that assist with the awakening consciousness, that they could not be all inundated with the absolute truth all at once. So hence the duration of the fanning out of the awakening. Now with GPMS, yes, at that moment, let's say 12 or 14 years ago, GPMS could have been put out, but it was not the timing because other events had been set up to facilitate and support the true humanoid desire for something else. If you look back at 12 years ago, humanity was not ready. They were mostly in their places of comfort and they would not believe it because they were in places of complacency. So, over the course of the last 12 or 14 years, if you will, more important divine brothers and sisters have been rustled with predetermined, orchestrated divine experiences that would propel and catapult them more into their own divine empowerment and to know that things have to change now. So, with that, as an overseer of the ascension, this is why I use this term, because I am also responsible at setting up themes and events to facilitate the full liberation and deliverance of the human souls into the heaven on earth scenario that's been spoken about. For there is no doubt, because I fully know who I am, and it's with absolute conviction and guarantee that I take things forward. Ideally, I would have loved for it to be done in the blink of an eye. However, this is not the way that it works yet. And and again, though, if you look back, in the blink of an eye, we are doing it much quicker when we exist for all time. So it is getting done. It's just the perception and perspective of how it is doing. So humanity 12 years ago was not ready for GPMS. There was a lot of experience they had to go through and a lot of revelations, a revelation period, which exposed them to certain experiences to know how things were unjust in the world. And this was needed with many to awaken more because GPMS, the divine plan, and salvation, even if you want, for all of humanity, cannot be done by one alone. It involves many more. So many has incurred their experience to also divinely incentivize them to come together to do what is morally right. So it is very complex, yet it is very divinely simple how the divine plan has been here. It has been even preordained and pre-written, and we are acting out the physical roles to take it to full fruition now, and it is fully divinely guaranteed.
Wow.
How long it takes, this is the thing. There are the variables with it.
Of course, of course. Thank you for that. And I know that this is going to resonate profoundly with many who are watching you speak, as it resonates profoundly with me, as we all know that it is by all of our divine wills and intentions as begun by yourself and by Creator, that all of this will, in fact, change. And that gives me great hope, great hope. Now, can we speak to your Melchizedek nature? Can we talk about the fact that I know myself from my experience with my teacher, Jonathan C.R. Davies, who was also Melchizedek, that Melchizedek are brought to systems as great change makers, and it is up to them to initiate the events surrounding the raising of the consciousness. So, as that Melchizedek, can you give us that overview from that perspective?
Well, one thing I'd like to say that perhaps is more readily acceptable by all is that the Melchizedek priests and priestesses, if you will, are actually the angelics, the archangelics, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for many important reasons and indicators that I will not get into this right now. But it's important, if one will accept what I just said, that there are many of the archangelic realm upon the planet incarnated into the physical vessel, which are part of the Melchizedek order. And Jesus as well is part of that Melchizedek order. He is a high priestess of or a high priest of God. But in this most glorious time, because of the old patriarchy rule and what humanity experienced, we are going into a time of equality where the feminine and the masculine are equal in representation of God and all things. And in this reality, there would not be masculine and feminine if it was not part of creation and how things worked. So, having said this, it's so important that full realization of the feminine and the equal role that they play in this ascension is being more and more appreciated every day. And what was in my naivety, if you will, when Father was first giving a lot of my memory back and giving me the divine plan, one thing that he said, which was funny, he said, "All right, now you're ready, Rick. Now go and empower the divine feminine." I
Mm.
said, "What?" Because I was not fully out of my ego yet, and that was the last step of it. And then a flood of the information come in, and Father explained to me how the divine feminine are so important, and that they are the vanguard of this ascension because of their ability to express the great unconditional love outward. They were able to retain their unconditional love with the child birthing and everything that's involved in that deep connection and love that the masculine were actually robbed from. So, with that, in great good humility, then I was down to the bottom, but knowing what I had to do to empower and all of the feminine and to raise them up because they are most divinely crucial and important to take everything forward. And I love this because I know the overall plan of we're going to full equality, and I love seeing so many raise in their power.
Mm. Yes, yes. And what a glorious unfolding that is and shall be. Thank you for that. So,
Mm-hmm.
behind the
Welcome.
scenes, behind the scenes, over the past almost 3 years, having witnessed and even partaken in some of the more esoteric activities of GPMS and its representatives, as a representative myself, these are activities that are not spoken about on GPMS World, but are about to be brought widely to humanity's attention through our new community website, gpmscommunity.com. And I'm referring to the activations that your twin flame consort, Femke, Lee, your co-founding father, and several of the representatives of GPMS that have been divinely guided to do these activations. Can you tell us what they are exactly and why they're so very much needed on the earth at this time, and how they tie in with the GPMS divine mission or mandate?
All right. Yes. In a nutshell, as each incarnate angelic, which we all are, as they become more disciplined in their power and become more purified of the old density of emotions and what have you, what it does is that it amplifies their co-creator ability to become one with all of creation, if you will. And if you can imagine uh, the most minute molecule of creation is what we are as well. It's the divine alchemy that creates all of reality. But what this says, with the most minute particle, we are one with that, which means that we command reality as well once we are energetically aligned with pure creation of good things. So, to keep this simple, what occurs is that one is introduced to their creation ability. And one way that this is done, I'll use Famke as a beautiful example. She was taken into what she calls the void, the place of nothingness, but that's where everything begins, and this is creation. So, by being consciously taken into this while in the humanoid form, it activates and it imprints that ability to access all of creation and to have a certain command and control over it, like turning the skies pink, bringing rain, stopping rain, because everything is nature, just as an example. So, by doing this, what I this was a little bit of the background. So when you bring more together with these abilities, we are the co-creators and the effectors of reality to make it what it needs to be. So activations, what we do, are done incrementally when it's divine time to do it, to uh, amplify more of the reality and more of the creator effects, to ripple it out worldwide, which affects everyone on a subconscious and unbeknownst level, to advance them also forward. And because of this creator energy, it also sets up events and experiences for the individual that they cannot um, ignore nor refute as well. Because what we do is we set reality up with the beautiful, miraculous, divine experiences too. So when we do activations, if you will, we are constantly upscaling and upscaling and we're upstepping reality, and we're making available to more of our brothers and sisters that may not be quite up there in their full or most appreciable co-creator status yet. What we do is we make the environment more readily that quickly they do it. So what has occurred, if you will, you had awakened, let's say first, a generally small divine vanguard group of angelics, archangelics, if you will, to begin to open wider the fan for others, the energetic fan of creation and miracles, if you will. And by doing this, it's getting bigger every day by more that believe in it and know their self and know at least their divine identity and part of the reason that they're here. So this gets bigger and bigger, this reality that we're part of, and it assimilates the old because again this is omnipotence. It is the dominant energy, and nothing can oppose nor contest the true will of God. This is all preordained. So again, we're acting out the roles, and we do this in various ways. So with the activations, uh, without going too far into that, what I hold it with the activations, they're very necessary because we also use what is already in this reality, springboards, if you will, like crystals, and we also see all of reality as well resides on vibration. So sounds are also vibration, harmonics are also vibration. And when you have them in higher alignments, they begin to change reality again. But with this, you need the assigned intent. as well, the good intent to assign what these harmonics will create, what these vibrations will create, and also by energizing, a let's say a mountain that has lots of quartz in it, by intentionally, consciously energizing that to be positive, then it becomes a beacon that emanates higher energetic values out to anyone in its proximity. But also, we set it up to pulse and ripple out, if you will, around the planet. Again, that on a subliminal, divine subliminal level, ones don't realize what's occurring, but is actually having the effect. So then there is the ebb and flow with the activations that we do. And again, very rapidly, we are transitioning humanity, but there is a time for divine stillness that we don't do anything. And then there is the go time to activate the next level of existence for humanity.
Wow. Yes, I'm learning all of this, and I must say that in my brief already experience, I can attest to the not only validity but the power to which you speak right now in terms of what other representatives, particularly in GPMS, are doing every day and literally changing the energy on the planet for the rest of humanity to follow suit, or where we're all going there together, right? So that said, I want to just briefly touch on, because I know it's another subject matter that we can go into for a long, long time. But a while ago, I actually asked you about repeating number sequences and their importance, because I was experiencing some pretty crazy numbers. So you had given me a beautiful explanation that literally blew me away, because there is nothing like that out there. So I hope to do another interview with you, just going into the number sequences, going into the crystals, going into what twin flames are, etc. We might touch on that a little bit today. Oh, I lost you. Oh my goodness. Hopefully he'll come back shortly. We're having some internet issues. Oh, there we are. You're back.
Femke just said X5 X flare just occurred. So,
oh, wow. Okay, well,
yeah,
there we go.
more light energy coming in. This is impactful. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not uncommon, what I will say, and again, with no lesser human ego, but with the divine ego, which is my divine identity. It's not uncommon when we do certain divine products like interviews that we begin to touch on more of the actual intricate dynamics of creation, that yes, it does bring in the photonic light, because the sun is very important in more ways than one with this overall ascension. And, this is not a hard sell, if you will, what I just said, because science has already documented this upon the planet.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
there is a joke with the metaphysical community that, at times when science, they say, catch up and then prove it, what the metaphysical community has been saying for years. So I love it when also science, from the more theoretically and logical area. Oh yeah, we got a ship.
Very bright.
Yeah, he's
very bright.
Ship going over, but it's not a satellite because they don't go in the. Yeah. So, but nevertheless,
say hi for me. Tell them to swing on by here.
Yeah, we have, and this is another important, very real aspect
Yeah.
of all through beliefs in scriptures as well. Let's say humanity knows they're not alone, and it is very real. We're not the humanity is not the only civilization in the universe, multiverse, and omniverse. And, you know, as part of in the past, if anyone spoke about that by dark design, they were ridiculed and suppressed and kept in the closet. But in this great time, what you will find on an individual basis for all of the human souls, which is the majority upon the planet, they've had at least some sort of introduction that it is actually real, whether they had an experience or it's just an instilled belief and knowing. So
Right.
it is very real. And,
Absolutely.
yeah. And in this
Well,
great time,
we weren't going to go there. I wasn't going to go there today, but clearly they're presenting themselves. So let's go there, Rick. Let's talk about the role that the Galactics play and the unfolding of the story on Earth right now. And I know that you're in touch with them. We are all, I believe, Galactics, just in different forms and on different timelines. Yeah. So I'm going to let you take that forward.
The reality and the truth of it is that we're souls, and souls never die. We've had many experiences and incarnations as different galactics, if you will. And again, to keep it simple, what we are doing on Earth, it also requires the assistance from the divine galactic realm. And we can even go back. I love going with Jesus when he went up to Mount Hermon, and he was met, by the blinding lights from the sky, and two of the other apostles got frightened. But this was actually, Jesus connecting with, at that time, the divine galactic element at what he was doing upon the planet, upon Earth. But at this time, it is. What I need to say in 2012, I'll use this expression that on Earth, Father put his huge foot down. Enough was enough. So, with that, everything was brought to facilitate and assist with the human ascension. And so part of that was, yes, the galactic assistance from other dimensional spaces, realms, and the multiverse, the omniverse, if you will.
So that leads me back to what I asked just before we had the beautiful confirmation of you touching the primal essence with your energy and us getting a flare and getting knocked off the screen kind of thing. The number sequences, the matrix, the understanding of that is so profound. If you can just touch on that briefly, don't give everything away, because I think we're going to do a whole other deep dive on that. But if you can just give us a little bit about that, it's just super fascinating.
Yeah. Well, when we look at the number sequences that keep popping up, let's say in one's journey, they cannot be ignored when they began to see them pop up everywhere. So it's beyond all astronomical odds and probability. And it needs to occur like this so they pay attention, because also assigned many times with these numbers are experiences that they will enter shortly after, or they've just had an experience. So we look at these repetitive numbers as divine timestamps, if you will, that are connected and identify that something at least just higher occurred, which is good. So the numbers are used in the beginning to catch one's attention, to at least know that this reality is not as it seems. and for the simple reason they should not be seeing these numbers all the time. And one of the great ones I love with the divine ones in the beginning, they'll be awoken at 3:33 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, and when that happens night after night, that catches their attention. All right,
Mhm.
something is going on. So then
Mhm.
their consciousness begins to question, what is this? So then most of them will begin to do online searches. Why am I seeing 333?
Mhm.
So when they do that and they follow the prompts, it opens them up to the esoteric, divine esoteric, the spiritual, metaphysical world. So that is their path that leads them into that, which rapidly begins to transition their consciousness and also their limited beliefs that they had while being part of the matrix or the old world. So it's a very important, exact part of their divine development and to get them aligned with this ascension in the least.
Yeah, it's amazing. The
Well, you love
Yeah.
I need to say, yeah, you love yourself when we're doing divine activations, that, we get, the confirming numbers like 111 or, 999, 8888, we see these, that comes in as also as confirmations for what we're doing.
Yeah.
And, also the other day when the tree fell down in front of you, I
Yes.
wish to share here just the day before that, I was singing the song, Free Falling, but, Tree
Great.
Falling is how I sung. So, but the way incidentally it worked out divinely is that you had to be stopped in that area to do some divine work, and, so this is a little bit more profound of also how things work, but everything is always divinely insured and planned. So in the beginning, the number sequences is to let ones know at least that there's something else at play, that the world, what they thought was there, is not what it seems. There is an abstract layer that they are beginning to enter into, and that is their divinity that they're beginning to enter into.
Yes. And which brings me to the next topic. Thank you for all of that. If we can just briefly touch on this as well, because this is another area that I feel needs to have a lot more exploration and explanation. And it dovetails into the divine feminine activation and, and Famke's role in all of this, the divine twin flames. If you can just touch on that, please.
Yes, I will touch on this. What I wish to say in this dimension that we're currently in, energy is gender as well. There is masculine energy, which is electric. It's assigned electric for the masculine, and the magnetic component is feminine. And these play a very important role in creation in this reality because these are also the properties or the scientific known properties, part of it, of the actual Earth, Gaia herself. And we are all one with this reality of Gaia. So we are in calibration with that. So with the twin flames, it's very important that when ones begin to awaken, also, even before they awakened, deep within their heart, they always wanted at least that special one to be with, the complete one, if you will, that was for the most part, the full likeness of what they were, and in good harmony. Now, with the twin flames, to keep this simple, the twin flames are the prototypes of the relationships in the least for the new reality. Because the new reality, what we are creating is the monogamous relationships, and based on love, sacred love, and sacred intimacy, which not only procreates a child, but it procreates divine energy, which also affects and changes things in the reality. So the twin flames are a very important divine designation that have been put here on earth as well for this great time. And having said this, yes, they play a very significant role because, again, when we go back to energetic gender, just feminine, to take that forward, it's not enough. It leaves the masculine behind. So it's divinely designed, know that it takes both together to effect reality forward. Because again, we are not in this dimension just dealing with magnetism, we're dealing with electric. So common sense would say that we need both of these components to come together to be amplified to change the dimensional spectrum, at least, of this realm, and to enhance it forward into the higher divine appreciation of love, harmony, sacredcy, uh, all of the good things in the least. So the twin flames are very powerful co creators. And when they come together, they create as one to affect, again, all reality. And the feminine, yes, play a very important role in that, much more than is even appreciated or respected at this time. However, more and more of that, we are getting it out for ones to realize how very important that the divine feminine are. And there is a distinction, yes, between the divine feminine and a human feminine, because again, with the divine feminine, you're given more of the knowledge on the energetic level, which enters creation. Just a unawakened human feminine, if you will. She is not endowed yet with all of that knowledge to know more the energetic action. So, what occurs, it is important to, you also need to have the belief of it.
Mm.
If you don't have the belief of something, you are not in alignment with it and you do not see it as well. Because your belief is an energetic attachment to these divine principles and very beautiful things. So it's important to have the belief because that is your alignment with it, which amplifies it and takes it forward. So the twin flames have a very important role here. And yes, that's many interviews, if you will, to delve deeper into the reasoning and the divine purposes for it, of this most special designation. And one thing, it is very real, as many can attest to that have entered this with their Merkabas being activated and heightened energetic experiences beyond the human knowing of what was possible with love and intimacy.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I have 1,000 questions, so I'm going to start writing them down. In the
Yeah, yeah.
meantime, so can we say then that the twin flames create an activation, much like the activation that we spoke about earlier, where the representatives, etc., are doing activations and preparing the energy on the planet for others to enter into more easily. So is this just another form of activation?
It's part of it, but not limited to. There are so many attributes involved with this, and again, divinely, uh, marginally, these these attributes come into play and do affect everything, but in accordance and in regulation with the overall divine plan, it is overseen that all of these things come into alignment when necessary. So there are many, everything is all connected, and it's brilliantly orchestrated and brought together in distinct divine timing. So again, having said that, everything that we experience now, nothing is by chance, and that is a very true adage, if you will, um, that it is. And nothing. Also, the more endowed and powerful as one becomes in their co-creator abilities, nothing is trivial anymore. Everything has a meaning, but you don't wish to get yourself caught up at creating stress and generating that outward at trying to discern what everything means. Because when you do that, when you create stress and try to keep questioning and controlling what does it mean, you actually push it further away because everything is divinely timed. So what you do is you let the universe show you, if you will, when you're ready. You don't need to question everything. So it's important to know that as well. Just being open in that a full surrender to the universe to guide you and and let it show you, and then things become much easier to navigate in this transitional reality.
Yes, thank you. So before I get to a couple of more promised questions in terms of the dates that you and Lee have been given to look out for, etc., I want to talk about the panel of 72 of GPMS. To end this section about activation, I want to again briefly touch on crystals, because again, this
Yes.
is. Oh, are you going somewhere?
No, I'm here. No, I'm here. I'm listening.
Because you and I have had some beautiful interactions about crystals popping up and what they need, some activations that they assist with. And again, this is an aspect of esoterica that has not really been introduced to the planet and will be now, I believe. So before we get into the other things that I will wrap up with, can you briefly touch on the beauty of these exquisite crystals, these entities among us?
All right, so just to backtrack before we go into the reason why they work, why they are so important, is say over millennia of human existence, there has always been a certain affiliation or attraction to crystals. Now, as conscious creators, many different beliefs were created, and all beliefs are an energetic information stream, exists, if you will, in this dimension for all time. With this, by tapping in to, let's say, an Enera crystal, uh, when you tap in the energetics of that crystal itself, it's directly to the beliefs that others have. So when you connect into a crystal, what you're also doing is bringing in other co-creator brothers and sisters on an energetic level to enhance, to endorse the abilities of that crystal and to enhance it, to take it forward as well as a tool to its creation. So see what has occurred again, with the human consciousness, it has created just a wide array of beliefs. So not only with crystals, doing ceremonial practices on the equinox, if you will, that's another example why it's so important to also do activations on the equinox, because it has been imprinted through, let's just say, the last few thousand years, that there is at least some significance in belief with that. But what you have is the quality of the belief that's around that time. Let's say with the equinoxes, what you have, or the solstices, what you have is a divine belief by so many that are divine, and their intention is to do good. And they know also the rest of their brothers and sisters at that same time. Let's take September 22nd this year, that many are others are are exercising goodwill intentions to impact the earth. And it's because of these beliefs, it's the congregation and the timing to things work. So with the crystals as well, it's a in renown, if you will, that a clear crystal, and especially from Brazil, I will emphasize, it is one of the purest connections to the white light. Where that is also accepted, and because, if you will, in the Hindu beliefs and Vedic belief, and also when you look at the different chakras, also Chinese, and most of let's say the Asian area, because those beliefs are also strong that there is an assigned crystal to each chakra. For example, third eye, the amethyst. Well, when you use amethyst in activation, it is also endowed, amplified with belief of all others with that amethyst crystal. And in this great time, we continue to go forward. Activations become more powerful as part of one's journey, they're awakening the actual importance of chakras and learning the crystals that are associated and with these chakras. So what it does, it also amplifies the Vaishnav energetic effects on reality. That makes sense. I'll stop there because I think you made a question that I could clarify.
Yeah, there's lots of questions. Actually, you're coming in very a little bit broken up. So, but I think we're going to take the crystal thing to another interview, because there's so much there. There's just so very much there. So, I want to come back to GPMS. And most recently, you and Lee were guided. I'm not sure who first got the request to create a panel of individuals that were going to go forward and bring the message of GPMS to the world. It's now the panel of 72. Would you like to speak to whatever comes up to you right now to speak about in terms of the panel of 72, also the humanitarian work that and the philanthropic work that GPMS is doing now, which is very exciting, and anything else about GPMS that you feel guided to share with our viewers at the moment?
All right. Well, before I begin fully into that, GPMS is divinely timed as well. However, it is not consistently nor restrictedly timed, meaning that there are certain things that co-creators can do and do that affects that affects it being brought into reality much quicker. So there is a variation with it. It's not a linear time on it. It is actually in timing with energetic events and also the individuals. So what occurred with panel 72, the formation of that, just to make it quickly, I was in a discussion with Lee prior to it being formed several months ago. And what come in was Father said, all right, comprise, or it was just before the discussion with Lee, if I remember correctly. Father said, it is time to form a panel of 72. This was Father's words. It had to have a 72 designation. I don't question things because absolutely I know whatever Father says, I obey and do here. Um, and and later, just to say with the 72 designation and the good connotation with it is that you could go into the 72 archangels, if you will, and into, let's say, some of the Judaism or Hebrew belief in the Gita, I think, as well, which in the Elohim, and so these divine designations play a, but it was not by Rick's or nor Lee's intentional doing to put the 72 label on it. This was actually Father insisting that we call it the 72 panel. And Father also made it very clear that it's an energetic designation, meaning that um, it did not restrict the numbers in it. That, for example, there could be a couple thousand in this, and there will be in the near future, but it had an energetic designation.
And we've lost him again. Hopefully he'll be back. I guess when you're talking about 72 archangels, you drum up a lot of energy.
All right, I'm back.
No problem.
Where did it cut off at?
Something about
where was I at?
You were talking about the 72 archangels, and there could be up to like 2,000 people, and it's more about an energetic being.
Yeah, thank you. So with this, and what was funny at the time, Lee and I then was in discussion when I said to Lee, all right, Father says it's time for the representatives to put a face to the representatives and to begin putting our videos out there of the individual divine representatives of GPMS. And it was Lee and I, we monitor everything, and I myself with the progress of GPMS, meaning that my neutral observations was that I had thought there'd be only about 16 that were ready to publicly express themselves. So, I said, I feel, Lee, that there will be at about 16 that are outspoken divinely enough, ready to say, all right, look, I'm here, I'm the real deal. But to my great amazement, and I always love surprises, I believe we had about 36 Renata at the initiation of it. And excuse me. So it is growing, and but more importantly, with any of our divine ventures, it has to be initiated. So it doesn't matter, if you will, if we got 72 on the panel. It's about beginning it and initiating it. And I love the great movie, The Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, if you will, where God tells them, build it and they will come. And this is along the same principles with GPMS. But if you never initiate or begin something, it doesn't get created. So this is our divine direction. And yes, I would say I was from the operating consciousness of Rick, in my evaluation, I was saying, well, perhaps it's not time yet. I don't think we have quite a quantity of representation. However, Father insisted no and put it out, and to my pleasant surprise, yeah, we had about 36, and this will grow. But the point, there was another point that I was going to make. Yeah, and this leads me into approximately around that same time. Then Father gives me a distinct message that it's possible for GPMS to be implemented in November of this linear year, 2024. So, with that, I always, with what Father says, it's always true, and it always serves a divine purpose, meaning that it doesn't matter if it comes true or not, because it's about the divine initialization and incentive, if you will, to begin it, to bring it. And again, it works on the same principle. If we don't begin it, when does it become implemented? So with this, in the overall ascension, one thing I did not really ever practice is looking at projected linear dates too far out there, usually a few days when I'm given, what's going to occur. Sometimes with prophesizing, I will do that. But let me say with GPMS, from the operating consciousness of Rick, over 3 years ago, when Father, if you will, rung me up and said, Rick, it's time to write up GPMS. And I said, I'm ecstatic. And I said, okay, great, and my anticipation was it was going to get done very quickly, because when Father says it's time, I trust fully and know. However, again, it's the perception of linear time and what we are. So it does take a little bit longer in linear time, but nevertheless, it is fully realized and part of the plan. So again, we always have to initiate things. But getting back to November, I was evaluating things with Lee, and I said, well, there's a lot of chaos and turmoil in the world yet. But we know that it's setting up for them to make the absolute divine moral choice. And, it's part of their experience at seeing how this truly is a savage world, and how it cannot go on any longer as it is, how it must change. And it's during that course that once they're ready, they're open to see GPMS and to actually know that they are saved, but they actually saved themselves. They are their own savior by becoming in alignment with this, and in whatever their divine respective roles may be, to take this divine instrument forward. And it is energized and endorsed and empowered again. But with this, just getting back quickly to it, is that so Father said November. So Lee and I had a collaboration, okay, how is this possible? And neutrally observing, and said, yes, it is very impossible. It is very possible, if you will. And then later, after that, would come in, perhaps several days later, Father said November 15th. So he gave an exact date. So I said, "This is funny. Why November 15th?" So I went and divinely guided and just looked up online what's so special about November 15th in the old world. And what I was divinely shown, because at times Father and Divinity, they love playing jokes that they'll bring things up on my computer for me, that I don't need to ask the question. I can read it. And with this, it was uh, November the 15th for the US is known as Black Friday,
Oh,
when
great.
the business come out of the red. So, it's when they pretty well began to make profit, and
Mm-hmm.
how uh, symbolically, it is that. So it's when they go into what is the word? I know you got a good expression. It's when all the expenditure, if you will, is paid for the year, and they began to, every dollar they make after November 15th is profit in the old world, if you will. But it's the liberation, metaphorically, from debt,
Mm-hmm.
as well. So it does have a profound, deeper meaning, November 15th,
Mm-hmm.
and where it is pertaining, um, mostly to America, to the US, is also because the US was the last domino to fall in the implosion of the old dark construct and with capitalism. And as any can attest right now, when you look at the great turmoil within and chaos and fighting within the US, it's in its time of implosion. So it is the last domino to fall before the good comes. But at the same time, GPMS is beginning, very marginally being introduced and accepted into the US by the light workers. Um, so, as the light workers in the US, if you will, the divine ones, as they've had enough of the experience, then they step into alignment with GPMS and also become more empowered at changing reality. So, everything is divinely uh, designed and orchestrated to it. However, again, the mainstay of the beliefs, if you take the US, a couple of the old mottos, keeping up with the Joneses, and like make America proud again. It excludes the rest of the world. It's not divine. It doesn't involve the unity of uh, of Earth that is required to ascend humanity out of the old savage protocol.
Yes. Well, I know that they believe that America will lead the way, though I believe that um, it's more likely to happen with the intention of those individuals who are doing these activations and raising the frequency on the planet. I'm going to bank on them first. uh,
Well,
you know?
let's say America plays a very important role in creating the new world. If we look at their present resources at facilitating getting GPMS worldwide, because of, let's say, Silicon Valley and all of the tools that they presently have that could be utilized in a flash flood to have GPMS worldwide. So they are well equipped with all of the necessary infrastructure, but again, it's the old beliefs that needs to be reconciled, and one's taken more into their morality. And when I speak about their morality, uh, just one of the essentials of it, is no, in the US, you are no better than all around the planet. So these haughtiness and proud things have to go. And, with this, one of the old adages is that pride goeth before a fall. So that has already occurred. And of course, after the fall comes the raising of the phoenix from the ashes as well, to metaphorically put some things in there. But it is necessary, what has occurred in the US, to shake them from those hindering beliefs. And they do come forward and they do play a very important part. But also, we need to look at all of the light workers in the US. They have such a hard job, with that. We have in there some of the most courageous, most powerful divine ones, but they have been kept busy at, constantly, what is the words? My words tonight are a little bit gone. At balancing the energy so that a huge stress does not occur with many earthquakes, if you will, on the geographical mass of US, because it is the stress that causes major earthquakes, major storms. It's energetic stress. It's not HARP and all these things. Darkness will put out these misconceptions that they're controlling the weather to try to take credit for it, to make themselves look more powerful. But that's not what's occurring. That is part of their illusions as well. But that's another story.
Yes, yes. And before I go into the next segment, I just want to make sure we pass the hour mark. Are you okay to keep going for a little bit more?
Yeah, we can go for another little bit. Yeah, just
Okay.
go for another little bit. Then we got the North Americans GPMS meeting. Yeah.
So reading between the lines of everything you've said here, Rick, it's very clear that there are forces at work that we are, generally speaking, not aware of on the planet. And I'm going to try to formulate my words here. So there's a whole level of understanding that even for myself, having joined GPMS some while ago, and having been doing all the energetic work that I have been doing, but it's opened my eyes to, and you particularly have opened my eyes to a whole other level of reality and co-creative abilities that humanity has. And that said, I would like to address an issue that is very interesting. I feel you were given your identity back. I believe many of us, and I've heard it being said that also by George Cavassos, the person that I cited at the beginning of this, that not all of us are going to be given our divine identities because we're being protected. So to a certain extent, we kind of know it's kind of getting woken up. And then I address the world on a larger scale, so that when these activations take place, when more and more get, activate their prowess, they step into their divinity, et cetera, this is what's going to create the new world. It's us. We are the energy. But if you can speak to this idea about the identity and this panel of 72, et cetera, I'm not sure we all know who we really are, but we're all divinely guided to be there. And anyone else who's doing this work is divinely guided. And we may not know exactly who we are or what we're really doing, but we know that whatever it is what we really need to do. So,
Absolutely, yeah. This is again. I am a full divine extrovert, if you will, and it doesn't matter what I say that is truth if one's believe it or not, because I need to make the divine statements of truth to evolve things. So, having said this, with the panel 72, all of the members of that, I know who everyone is on the divine level in the roles they must play. But what is occurring is that their divine identity is also proportionate to the overall divine plan. When they are ready, they are endowed with more of their memory and identity of who they are. But again, they must begin the process of accepting it as well. And what this does, it brings more of their divine identity into them. But again, it's a process at eliminating the anchors in the hindrances, which are the old ways that everyone needed to operate in the old reality. Without those old ways and old behaviors, you would not have been there because you would have just divinely not resided in there because it's lower vibration. And if you're higher vibration, you cannot be in this reality. This is actual physics with dimensions, and you know, science is very close at sharing this information with humanity. It's how things actually work. But having said this, everyone that is in alignment with GPMS, they play a role, whatever that may be, and it's for no one to say what that role is. But the overall outcome is that I know everyone finds their divine identity. They bring it into them, but they need to be open and acceptable. Acceptable for that. Um, so it is also a beautiful process. And again, you know, I teach the way, there's others that teach the way, but truly there is only one way, and that's letting go of all of the things that are keeping you from your divine identity. As you let go of them, your divine identity comes in, because then you have the purest discipline and responsibility to be able to act as a co-creator and appear upon this world. Again, remember that it's important that you not only talk the talk, that you walk the talk as well, because we are the co-creators of this beautiful new reality, and we're not taking contaminants forward. So you're purified here with it of your old ways, then you're endowed with more of your divine identity, your divine ego. And with ego, ego is very important. There is the bad ego that you're getting rid of, but essentially, ego is your identity. Without an ego, you're nothing. So, what you're doing is embracing your divine ego, which is your divine identity. And one of the tricks on this is do not let yourself be diminished by the word ego, thinking it's a bad thing. You need to speak your truth. You need to shine your light and be out there. You don't stay in the closet restricted by ego, thinking that you're going to be some obnoxious variant that is divinely ego. That's not how it works. Your divine identity is very important, and it's important for each to know this and to bring it down and to speak freely, but speak freely in truth and morality and all of the good things with it. And it's all preordained. As I mentioned before, all of the angelics, archangelics, are all incarnated in physical vessels here for this great time of ascension. And many Jesuses, many Mary Magdalenes, many Marys, and I love it. And in what I do, I come across many that they need to have that belief that they're Jesus, because it's their divine identity. And in actuality, they are connected to Jesus. We are all one great big family, if you will. And it's not to look at the stereotype man of Jesus, it's to look at what Jesus represented God, and this is Christ. And with that, yes, it's very reasonable for many Christs to be on the planet, as well as many precious Mother Marys, Mary Magdalenes, And, through the other religions, faiths, and beliefs, whatever their prominent figures may be. And it's all divinely perfect. I met a couple Buddhas now, which I love, and their evolution as well. They say they're Buddha, and I say, yes, you are, because you can. And I read the energy, and I know, even though they're not fully in their light yet, they have begun that process to be and to not only illuminate themselves, but illuminate reality with their divine contributions to the whole. So it is, many have different divine designations with this, and it all serves the beautiful role. So
Exactly.
if I didn't get
No,
far
and
off
isn't
track.
that it, and no, it's fine. And isn't that really what it's all about? This is a play of consciousness. It's about us having this experience of finding our divinity once again, isn't it? And then affecting what there is on the outside. As you said, it's a 12 years is less than the blink of an eye. Well, so is a lifetime. So is this whole time. It's a pivotal time now. However, we have to keep the perspective and the remembering of who we truly are, and then take that view from 10,000 feet, if you will, to remember that we are divine beings and that we're here to have an experience, a human experience. So, what is it that we're learning, and what is it that we're sharing with Creator through our experience and our co-creation to, at this time, to share that with the rest of humanity and to affect this change. So that said,
Yes.
before we talk about, thank you, that just came out. Before we talk about how, I know you have to go, how people can consent to GPMS, join us, become a representative, become part of GPMS. Is it possible, and is it in alignment for you to bring forward, if there is at this time, a message from Father that people should hear?
What I wish to say, I'm in the process of writing up my Rick's presentation of the 72 panel, so it's not complete yet. But having said that, the message is, again, GPMS is the new world. It is the new covenant, if you will. God's promise has been delivered within GPMS.world. And it's mostly the Christians that would recognize, if you will, what I'm saying, but it's not exclusive to the Christians. It's been here imprinted in all faiths, all beliefs, and all religions. So it's just that coming together with it. And let me say that if this was not true and not guaranteed, if you will, from divine prime creator, none of us would even be doing what we're doing. We're all volunteers and divine volunteers to bring this to the world. And by no means are we capitalizing off of this. We are to change that capitalistic world, and it is being done. So any father's message? Oh, all right. Father just said you're all welcome. Come on, get on the ark. And that's what this is, it is the ark, if you will. It is the deliverance to the new world. So you can give it so many divine names and principles, and it's all the same. It is the promise. It is the deliverance, and all of the individual human experiences were not by random, and it's not just to have an experience. There is the actual mission attached. But when ones begin to realize that they're having a human experience. Once they get to the upper levels of that, then they become to realize that there was a reason for this, to be prepared for this time, and that there was an actual reason and mission that is attached to it. But yet they, for ones, they need to go through this as part of their process, if you will. So the message is, yeah, it's very simple. Father has made this simple. He has transcended all of the dimensional layers right down to the most logical layer with GPMS. GPMS logically is a worldwide ratification of the agreement of GPMS. And everyone, whether they're awakened or not, knows that a majority rules. So it's not complex at all. Once we have the majority support worldwide, we ratify the GPMS agreement or treaty into full force. And what it does, it lifts all boats. No one is discriminated against, even, let's say, a wealthy, greedy soul. No, they all play a part of it. We're not ejecting anyone organically. The darkness cannot be a part of it for what they are. But this is not for us to judge who cannot. Our mission is to gather all of those that are ready. And we know the majority are the human souls upon earth. And this has been all divinely orchestrated. So every child consents because they are part of this new world. So their consent, their vote, their agreement counts the same as yours and mine. It is the simple, full ratification of a treaty. So we keep it that simple. And what this does is also because the logic cannot refute what it is and cannot refute the power of it. So there is no merit whatsoever for an argument or opposition or contestment against it. It is not there because this is absolutely divinely concrete in its full design and construct. So it cannot be disputed by any legalities or any artificial laws. This is all encompassing. It is supreme, absolute, divine law, and it is the simple guidelines for humanity to evolve into now out of the savagery.
So,
and nothing can stop.
No, of course not. No. So, if souls, if ones would like to join, would like to offer their consent, they go to gpms.world. Would you like to just invite everyone?
Yes. Anyone doing a search, what I suggest is to type in gpms.world official. Then it should come up in your search engine at much higher that you don't need to scroll. So by this, Father, give this divine addition of the attribute, put official behind it also, because we're able to circumvent more of the earthly technology with SEOs and how things work. So type in gpms.world official. Go there. You will find the consent tab. You click on that. It only takes you a couple moments to put in your birth date, provide an email in your name. And what this does, it registers that you are in full agreement with this new, abundant, loving world. And that is your ratification. Also, for any parent, it also, you will feel it as your own moral obligation as a parent at doing the best for your child, to also, if they're unable to consent, that you consent for them as well, because you are a guardian for their best interests. And once you know what GPMS is, the best interest for any child is the free, abundant world, so that they're no longer in any form of strife, sufferance, and misery. So it becomes the parent's moral, divine obligation also to add them and add their voice to this new world. So just go to the consent, fill it out, and it only takes a few moments. And of course, share it with anyone that may be in any form of distress, and let them know that they have a choice for the new world, and it's important that they make this choice now. Because as they can see worldwide, things are getting worse and worse. But also on the flip side of that, the quicker that we have the majority voice in GPMS ratified, it omits and eradicates a lot of this unnecessary suffering that many are having currently.
And if for example, we're talking about a cross section of the world who has computers or smartphones, etc., if what do souls do, who would like to consent but do not have a computer, do not have a smartphone, is there, they can reach out to one of the GPMS representatives, is that correct? Maybe you can talk to that.
Well, very quickly, if one doesn't have a computer or a phone, but it has come into their awareness that GPMS exists, well, the one that presented to them can assist them with consenting. Or if they just picked up a card on a street somewhere, go to your nearest library, go online on the computer. There are various ways with this. But also, what we have as we go forward, ideally, the genuine, light, wealthy philanthropists will come in and support the missionary aspect of GPMS at getting to the areas where there is not internet to assist with this. So there can be individuals that can be sponsored conservatively and honorably and nobly to go into these areas and collect the consents of the innocent children. If an orphanage, that area where ones are struggling and don't have enough money to even afford a connection to internet, and let alone a phone or a computer. And this way also we gather more of the supporting consent, because what ones also need to realize is that approximately worldwide, that it's only perhaps about 52% of the worldwide population that has access to internet. So with that, there's a huge portion of humanity that needs to be included into GPMS. And what this involves, to some degree, is missionaries being sponsored by genuine, divine, wealthy philanthropists to get into those areas and collect these lawful agreements with ones as well.
And just the last question, because I'm really pushing you in terms of time. For anyone who doesn't understand what GPMS is, what are people consenting to in a nutshell, Rick?
In a nutshell, they're consenting to the stress-free, harmonious, loving world. It's beyond your imagination, what you thought was possible, but it's very possible and it's very real. So what you are doing is consenting to a stress-free future for yourself, for your children, for your families. And also what you're doing is investing in the complete solution to every problem that is on the planet now. Every problem that you might individually have, or as an environmental or societal problem, it has the full remedies the full solution for all of this, because instrumentally and at its core is the capitalistic current system that propagates and creates all of the problems. So we're eradicating that, putting in the new unlimited flowing system, which provides all of the solutions, because money no longer becomes a controlling object, it becomes intention. And it's no longer limited the way the current system is it limits it, and it's designed that way because it's a dark system to create energetic animosity and stress, because again, the darkness, if you will, they only can survive the evil in a stressful negative environment. So that's why they designed the capitalistic system and imposed it upon all of humanity. But in this great time of God's will and deliverance, GPMS frees you from purgatory or hell, if you will. It's all over. The game is all over.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything.
And thank you so much as well, Renata. Now we got an important GPMS
yes.
North American meeting, so I'll attend that. And yeah, we'll resume this, and we'll put out some more specific topic productions, if you will. This was like more of a generic introduction to show, you know, the so many multifaceted aspects of creation and divinity, but again, all connected to creation as we take everything forward. Thank you.
Thank you. From
love, light, and gratitude.
Love, light, and gratitude.
Peace. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye now. Bye.